It is Junk Journal July day 4, and I am officially 3 days behind. So this day is fold out pages, and technically it was from a couple of days ago, but I'm trying to get back on the bandwagon and do these challenges once again. So I'm taking papers from one particular scrapbook paper book is what you would call it. And I'm trying to do something as inspired by Kate Maurer, I think is her name here on YouTube. And she does junk journals on Instagram, Kate's Junk Journals. She makes the most amazing fold out pages and junk journals. Everything she does is super interactive. She always has a bazillion and one tuck spots and fold outs and places to journal, and my mind is blown every single time I watch her do anything. So I'm trying to recreate something I saw her do here on YouTube. So I started off by creating a pocket with this fold out page. So the pocket is on the right hand side, and then I'm just bringing in another piece of paper from that book and cutting it down a little bit smaller than the size of one of the panels. So I thought I might create this background piece, but then I decided that once I created the pocket, it was definitely going to be a little bit too deep. And I do tons of distressing on all of these pages just to try to make them stand out, because there's going to be so many layers that it needs the distressing in order to kind of see the different layers and to make sure that they don't all blend together. So again, when I placed down this pocket piece, I thought to myself, if I put anything in there other than maybe an envelope, it's going to get lost in this abyss of deepness. So I decided to cut it and create a small pocket instead. So that is my first layer. And then I was kind of going back and forth with what I wanted to do with the space below. And so I decided to kind of just leave it for now. And this little piece of vellum was kind of just a scrap that was hanging around, and I thought, well, it matches the colors, but I put it aside again because I definitely didn't want it there, because I knew I wanted to build on top of that pocket. And this particular sheet of paper is not the thickest. It's not really that cardstock scrapbook paper, so I didn't want to add too much bulk or too much weight to that side, so I decided to leave it alone for a bit to think more as I work, and moved on to that next layer on top of that pocket. So I knew I wanted to have a piece that flipped up. So I created another sheet of that scrapbook paper, a little bit smaller than the pocket, and continued to do that with a couple more pieces. So that way I could layer it all up and you'd be able to see it. And honestly, this project actually took me several hours. I did stop here and there and had to take a couple of breaks, but this isn't my strong suit. So I would say this was more of a challenge for me, and it was a great learning experience, because I feel like the more that you kind of put these things together, the more that you commit them to memory, and you're able to get even more creative the next time. Every time you do something like this, it's your ideas will kind of expand upon each other. So time to glue this down, and I glued it so that it would have a pocket, a secret pocket, I guess, on the side. So we have a main pocket. Now we have a pocket on the side with that first layer. And now I'm creating a belly band that actually flips up. So gluing two sides down and placing that there where I can put a couple of journaling cards. And then just adding a strip of washi to the bottom of that so that you can kind of see that there is something there. Now I'm taking some avocado dyed paper and creating a fold out journaling spot for that top panel of the first fold up. It's not really fold out, fold up. And rounding the corners out once again for this particular piece as well. And in Kate fashion, of course, this also has to have some sort of secret journaling spot. So this one, I decided to make the pocket on the bottom. Now I knew I needed something to hold that flap down So I just grabbed a cute piece of ephemera and glued it around the back side and allowed it to be sort of like a tuck spot, but basically for the flap of that particular piece of paper. Now moving on to that final flap, I'm using some tea-stained graph paper to create another journaling spot or fold out page. So this is like fold out on fold out on fold out. And it does get bulky really fast, so that is something you have to be aware of and be really cognizant of as you're making stuff like this. My junk journal is already so thick, and so I think I'm going to have to take out some elements that I added on previous challenges, particularly things like charms that I placed on the tags. I'll probably take those off for at least for the time being, so that I can continue to work in this journal throughout the month and finish this challenge, hopefully all 31, without losing too much of the spine. So now I'm just creating a decorative element on the inside of this fold out journaling spot because I just felt like it looked a little too plain. So I'm grabbing some pieces from the leftovers of the pages that I used, and with this piece I actually decided to tuck it into the side pocket that I created and allow it to be almost like a tuck spot or a piece that can hold down the flaps once again. And I also wanted to put some sort of decoration on that belly band, on the inside of the flip up belly band. So I just found a stamp and allowed it to be almost kind of a title plate, I guess. And I kept going back and forth with what to put inside of the belly band. I cut out several tags, but none of them were really working for me, and I finally found some stuff in the end. Now, as I was saying earlier, I don't want to add too much bulk to the actual flip out page because it's a little flimsy, so I don't want to put too much weight on that. So I'm just taking a piece of the scrapbook paper and creating a flip up so that there's even more journaling space, but the page isn't left blank. And of course, making sure that all of the tuck spots, all of the pockets have something inside of them so that there's something fun to find behind every little pocket and every little flip up. And it's always really exciting to be able to find these elements, especially if you don't know that they're there. I even sometimes forget that I've placed things and I'll find them later on, and it's always really exciting. So here I've created a flip up with another pocket, and I am just taking another piece of that scrap to create more journaling space. Once again, distressing it and rounding the corners, and then taking this really cute bulldog clip sticker and just simply stapling it on there so that I have almost like a tag to be able to pull it out. And I guess the faux stitching wasn't enough for me, so I'm taking some of the weathered wood, distress oxide, and creating more, I guess, interest on that little flap, and then I also added a stamp to it. So here I'm finally coming to terms with what I want to put behind the belly band. I found this really cute embossed heart that was in my scraps, and I decided to put that there with another piece of scrap paper. And just checking on all of the areas to see if I can add any more decorative elements. And I was trying to create some sort of tuck spot, but really, I don't know what you call it. It's a piece to hold those flaps down, which that page on the bottom ended up being a little too flimsy, so I had to add some velcro to that bottom piece so that it would stay down, so that the little tuck would be able to hold the flaps down a little bit better. Now for the large pocket that is behind the main page, I'm just adding another piece of the leftover scrapbook paper, and putting a tab on here so that I know which challenge this was, as if I wouldn't know just by turning the page. But I'm going to use my label maker and punch out the word fold out I just thought it'd be really cute to have tabs on all of these different pages so that I can remember exactly what the prompt was and hopefully be inspired by it. And I'm just doing some finishing touches. I've been doing 2-page spreads on all of these challenges, all 4 so far. So I'm taking a scrap and just creating a belly band on the other side. I didn't want to be too complicated on that other side just because there's so much going on with all of the fold outs. So I'm creating a belly band with a scrap, taking another piece of the leftovers and creating a journal page to go behind that. And then that cute little piece of vellum that was floating around, I'm doing a double belly band just so that I could put it in there. And for this last scrap piece, I'm tearing off the edges, distressing it off once again, and placing it in the smaller belly band as my final piece. Now, even though it's pretty obvious that this page is a flip out page, I wanted to make it a little bit easier to access, so I took a piece of ribbon and just stapled it onto the page. Actually, I put 2 pieces to add a little bit of extra interest. Staple it down there, and that way you have kind of like a pull tab to be able to open this page. So just to review, we have our pocket with a pull-out journaling space. You've got a flip-up journaling spot, a flip over with a pocket on the side. This piece folds out, and I found some corners that needed to be rounded, and that just tucks into a little piece of ephemera. We've got 2 journaling cards behind a belly band that flips up, a side pocket, these flip outs or fold outs, and that bottom piece velcros over. We've got journaling paper behind that upper pocket. And then on the left side, we've got a double belly band with a couple of journaling spots. And that does it for day 4. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more process videos throughout the month. Aloha!